First of all, I want to say congratulations on taking the next step to becoming a classroom teacher, which is the Praxis exams. I'm Mr. Luke, this is Mr. Luke Unplugged, and I passed my Praxis exams on the very first try between 20 and 30 points. So what I'd like to do is share with you the exact blueprint that I use to mentally prepare on my way to the testing site, what it's like once you enter the testing site, and then some tips and tricks that you can use once you're inside of the exam room to maximize the time. So if you're ready, get ready to unplug. The first thing I want to talk to you about is exam day morning. Get up early so that you can get a shower, get a good breakfast, listen to some music. What's your favorite TV show? The last thing that you want to be doing is picking up a study book. I'm going to give you a time and a place that you can do that on your way to the testing site. But for right now, it's about you being with you and gaining the confidence to know that you've got this. This is another test that you've got to check off a box so that you can go ahead and get your teaching license. Now, there are going to be a couple things that I recommend you remembering to take with you besides the basics. First one is going to be your government issued ID. Use the one that you use to register with so that your name matches when you get into the testing site, because both of those names are going to need to match when you hand over your ID. The second, make sure to take like a sweater or a hoodie or a jacket just so that you can be comfortable for whatever the temperature is in the room, because there's going to be nothing worse than being too cold or too hot when you're in there. Now, hopefully you've mapped out how long it's going to take you to get to the testing site. You want to get to the testing site at least 15 minutes early for reasons that I'm going to give you, again, once you get into the testing site. Make sure that you've got enough time to get there so that you're not going to be late and you're not rushing around. Remember when I said that you're not to open up a study book? Hopefully you've watched my study guide video, which is going to be linked up at the top. What you want to do is make sure that you take those recorded notes on your phone, just pull them on your Bluetooth as you're driving and just listen to those just so that it activates the brain and gives you confidence on some of those questions or some of those theories, some of those keywords, vocabulary words that you weren't too sure of. And you can have those fresh in your brain for when you get to the testing site. That's really the only time that you want to study on exam day. Now you're at the testing site. Make sure to take in with you your water, your car keys, and your government issued ID. You don't really need your phone or your smartwatch because those are going to get locked up anyway. But if you feel more safe taking them in with you than leaving them in with your car, take those in too. Now remember I said get there 15 minutes early. This is why. One reason you might laugh at this, but is use the restroom as soon as you get in there. You know, like we tell our school kids, like, make sure that you use the restroom, even if you don't have to go. Take your own advice and take that advice as well, because time still ticks when you are in the testing area for when you use the restroom. Now, when you walk in, they're going to ask you if you've got any valuables that you would like to put into a locker. You'll put them into a locker and they'll give you the key back. Again, you can't take anything electronically into the room with you. The only thing that you can take is some water with you. That's literally it. Everything else has to get put away. So that's why I say only bring into the testing area what is necessary for you to bring in or what you want to make sure that is safe. You're not going to be the only one that's in the testing area. There's going to be other people that have registered for the same time. So they're all going to have you in one room. Expect the staff to go over some protocols, some rules with you, and they're going to do it as a whole group so they're not having to do it individually. If you get there a little early, they might be able just to go over it with you early enough. Then if it's like your second or your third time at the same testing site, they'll know who you are. And usually if there's not a whole group of people there, again, another advantage of getting there early, they'll be able to do all of the other check-in stuff with you and take you into the exam room so that you're not waiting for other people. The other check-in stuff that they'll do after you put all your stuff into a locker is you're going to have to read a document. And that document is basically just saying that you understand the rules, you haven't seen the tests before, and then what consequences there are if you break any of those rules. Now you have to read that being recorded, you'll sign it at the end, and once you've done that, they'll take you straight into the testing room. At this point, you're gonna start feeling just a little bit nervous as they start walking you over to your computer. There's gonna be other people in there already taking their test. And when they sit you down, they're going to explain that you can have some paper and pencil. If they don't, ask for the paper and the pencil. You should also have a pair of noise cancelling headphones. I strongly suggest to put those on because in one of my tests, I ended up having this kid who was right behind me and all I heard was it's like the clatter of keys. So those noise cancelling headphones, when you put them on, they can help with the noise and just help you really zone in and focus on the computer itself. Once you're at your computer, make sure if it's your first time that you take the time to go through all of the logistics of the computer, the navigation, so that you know where things are. One thing that I strongly recommend that you find and that you watch is how to mark questions so that you can go back to them. Because there's going to be some questions that you're not too sure on that you can click and just move on to the next question, and they'll be bookmarked for you so that you can go back to them. Here's your last few tips on how you can maximize your time. What you want to do is you want to start from question 1. Don't scan all of the questions. Just start from question 1 and work your way through. There is one exception to this, however. The exception is if you're taking in an exam that you know has written parts to it, go to the written parts first. Get those essays done while your brain is fresh, it's not fatigued. And usually if you wait for the writing part towards the end, a lot of your time might have been taken up on the multiple choice more than what you thought. So by the time you get to the writing part, you're going to feel like you're going to have to rush through it. And you're also at risk for not finishing it. So if there's one thing you take away from this video, it is get the writing part done first. That really helped me. And it gave me a breakdown of how much time that I would have left for the multiple choice questions. For the multiple choice questions, start at question 1 and work your way through. Answer the questions that you know the answer to within 15 to 30 seconds. If you know that you're not going to know the answer within those first 15 to 30 seconds, just hit the mark button and move on to the next one. The reason for that is if you can knock out a quick question within 10 seconds, then you move on to one, you look at it, you're like, I'm not really too sure on that. After you've quickly read the question and the answers, then you can bookmark it, move on to the next one. Each question that you know, you're adding time to ones that you don't know. So after you've got through all of the questions, you can then circle back to the bookmarked questions. Now, when you look at the bookmarked questions that you have, take a look at the answers first. The reason why you want to take a look at the answers first is to see if there's any commonalities between any of the answers and if there's any keywords in there that you're able to think to yourself, you know what, I think this question is going to be about phonics. Then you can look up at the question, read the question. Once you've read the question, automatically maybe 1 or 2 answers will just be deleted. You can mark them out straight away and then you're left with a 50-50 chance. And then you can just take away the one answer. Always make sure that you're selecting the best possible choice for the scenario, not what you would do, but the best choice out of the 2 answers. That's what you want to be looking for. So what do you do when time is running down and maybe you've got 10 more questions to answer because it's taken you a little bit longer than what you thought? You're not getting scored on answers that you get wrong. You're getting scored on the answers that you get correct. So at this point, if time is running down, any answer is better than no answer. Give yourself that 25% shot. Usually the multiple choice questions are 4 answers. Give yourself that 25% chance of getting the answer right. Or if you've been able to knock off 2 of the answers, give yourself that 50-50 shot. I remember on my math, I had about 10 seconds left and there was like 5 questions that I hadn't answered yet. And I'd already looked at them, I'd gone back and looked again, and I was able to take it down to at least 2 answer choices, but time was getting done so quickly that I just clicked any answer. And that is what possibly pushed me a little bit higher on my math score than what I thought that I would get. So make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible chance, whether that's 25% or a 50-50 shot. The last bit of advice that I can give you is go in there confident. Go in there like you're going to kick this test's tail. It's all you. You've got it. You're going to pass it. You know that you are. You've worked really hard for this, and you're not going to let some test stand in the way of you getting your teaching license. Confidence is 90% of the battle. Go in there, be confident, because if there's any area of doubt, you're already going to lose. Don't put that doubt in your mind. Take the test, kick its butt. I know you're going to do great on it. Just follow some of these steps that I've given you, even if you just take one of them. Some of them you might have already been planning on doing, but hopefully you've been able to take something away from this video. And if you've already taken a PRAXIS exam and you have some strategies, some tips for people who are taking it, just put them in the comments below. Build a community, help each other out, and let's all become amazing teachers. I'm Mr. Luke. This is Mr. Luke Unplugged, and you have just unplugged. Help us grow this channel and join us in subscribing.